Tell us about your work, your writing, your reviewing. Give us the history of your work.
Narad, I told you already that I have been a sedulous ape to my father, right? In 1957, when I started working, 57 and when I started working on Sri Aurobindo, I came across, first I started with his biography. I was amazed that he had worked closely with Sri Aurobindo, with Subramania Bharati for 10 years. Subramania Bharati was a familiar poet in Tamil households. We used to sing his songs and all that. So, I wanted to translate a passage of Subramania Bharati, use a translation for some article on Sri Aurobindo or a chapter of my book. There's no translation available. Nobody had translated Subramania Bharati till then.
Oh.
So there again I became first in the field in spite of myself. So I translated that passage, and then father said, Sri Aurobindo also made a translation, a way to learn new languages. So you will learn your Tamil better if you translate more of Subramania Bharati. And so I began translating Subramania Bharati. One day, and every day I would do some work and show it to him. Appa, how is it? Appa, how is it? One day I took a verse of Subramania Bharati, a poem. என்று தணியும் இந்த சுதந்திர தாகம் என்று மடியும் எங்கள் அடிமையின் மோகம். Subramania Bharati was a nationalist poet. He belonged to Sri Aurobindo's group in nationalistic politics. So in this he asks, when will we be rid of this thirst for freedom? So unknowingly I had written, when will this thirst for freedom slake? When will our love for slavery die? Don't get the wrong impression that I am a born translator or I am a divinely gifted translator. I wrote these two lines. It so happened I was reading Arnold and this and that, all these English poets. So that influence was there, these two lines. My father said, you have a knack for translating, so continue with this. Somehow I translated, now I got into another problem with father. So this is how I went on translating. And since he was sending his works, his articles and all that for the magazines to publish, at that time a magazine was coming, Triveni. So it was being published from Masuripatnam, which is near the place where I used to live. So I sent it to the editor. To my, do you say horror or to my pleasant surprise, it was published 3 poems in one group. And I had seen the way how father would write, dear editor, herewith I am sending my article to you for publication. Like this. So I had copied that kind of letter and written. It had come. The problem is that I sent 10 off-prints. The first off-prints that I was ever to get. Now I am submerged in them, but at that time, 10 off-prints for 4 pages of poetry. Now what does father do? He sends his books to his friends, to Ambalal Purani, to so-and-so, to Dilip Kumar. He sends, isn't it? How about my off-prints? So I decided to send them to people I know. So I sent one to somebody, some friend, this, that. And then I saw one address in father's address book. I sent off him. That was Sri Rajagopalacharya. He had retired from his chief ministership. He was in Baslulla Road. I sent it to him. Dear sir, I am sending these poems which I have translated, which have been published in Triveni. I want your kind blessings. Prompt comes a card from him. Dear Prema, I am so happy at last somebody is translating Subramanya Bharati. Right? And then the sentence, characteristic of Rajaji, Rajagopalachari. Continue with this task, but first learn your Tamil better.
Oh,
I was translating from Tamil to English.
yeah.
The problem was in one of the poems, Anroru Bharadam Akkavandoni, you who came to. But I thought Subramanya Bharati was referring to Krishna who is creating the new India at that time. So, you who came to create a new India, I had written. And Rajaji writes, it was not India he was referring to Mahabharata, Kurukshetra war. Kurukshetra war is known as Bharatam in Tamil. Periya Bharata nadakkurathu. If you say in Tamil, that means at home brothers are fighting. That we call, oh, big Bharatam is going on in their family. That means brothers are fighting. So, then I was properly chastened, and my father had a good laugh. You deserve it. Now learn Tamil properly. So I learned Tamil. I started learning Tamil well. In the meantime, these few poems I had gathered, and I had got for getting my PhD, my father had given some money. I think maybe 1,000 rupees. 1,000 rupees was a very big amount at that time. Very, very big. I am talking about 1958. Appa has published a book. My elder brother has published a book. How about me? I must publish. I am so scholarly. I am a fine translator. You know, I wish I had that self-confidence I had at that time. But when I went and asked Appa, he said, why don't you do that? I said, I'm going to use this money I have given to publish a book. He said, fine, you go ahead. Any other father would say, you fool, why are you doing it? But he didn't say that. And Bharati in English verse was published. He corrected my foreword. He said it should have a foreword. All right. I wrote a foreword. He corrected it. Poor father, how much he underwent for my sake. And he corrected my translations. It was published. But then I need a publisher. I have money, but I need a publisher. So my brother came forward heroically. I will publish your book. Give the money to me. So he published the book. Then we must have a name for it. He said Porunai Publishers. Porunai is the name of Tamraparni, on the banks of which we grew up, my brother and myself. So this is how my first book was published. And I dedicated it to a novelist in Tamil Nadu with whom I used to correspond. To Ranganayaki Tatam, Alais Kumudini, with affection, admiration and gratitude, because father had done the same thing to somebody else in a book. So I did the same thing. So my father said, oh, you have copied from that book. All right, you go ahead. By strange turn of events, I married that novelist's son. So my mother-in-law asked me, all right, I can... when I dedicated my book, she had written a letter to me, thanking me. She said, I can understand your affection and admiration, but gratitude for what? She had questioned. She was an excellent writer in English also, though she was a Tamil novelist. Well, I suppose the gratitude was for giving me such a good husband. That's a different story. But it so happened, as it happened in my case for Savitri, this was the first book of translations of Subramanya Bharati's poems to appear in English. The first time. So it got a very good press, and Rajaji was very happy. When he came to know that I am Iyengar's daughter, he was very happy because he knew father very well. And there was a grand release ceremony in Rajaji Hall here in Madras. Now Rajaji Hall is not there. They have demolished it. At that time it was there. C. Subramaniam released the book. It's a grand affair at that time. It was managed by the local Bharati Association because they were very happy, elated that Bharati was coming in English. So, as Bharati translator also, I became first in the field. Because of this book, the UNESCO asked me to translate Subramanya Bharati's further translations of Subramanya Bharati. So for UNESCO, I gave poems of Subramanya Bharati, they published. And this translation side of my creative work, that has continued till today. I have translated novels, Tamil novels into English, English novel into Tamil, and I have translated ancient Tamil texts. I learnt, because Rajaji had told me, learn your Tamil. So I sat like an obedient student, and father was right. If I had taken up a job, I would not have done any of these things. I would have drawn a fat salary, but I would not have translated this. Certainly not. Another first I did was, there is an ancient Tamil epic, Manimekalai. It is a twin epic of Shilapadigaram. The language is very difficult. It's ancient Tamil. That I struggled with, and that was published in 1989. The first English translation of Manimekalai to be published. So there.
Is the ancient Tamil more beautiful than the modern Tamil or not?
All languages are beautiful. Modern Tamil is beautiful if you take from Subramanya Bharati's side. It's simple and all that. But by modern Tamil, you should not confuse it with the kind of Tamil which is used in everyday speech and colloquial.
Yes.
And where nowadays they do a lot of mixing with English. We don't consider it as Tamil at all. It is Tamlish is what they call it. It is Tamlish. Maybe this is the sad state of all languages. Ancient Tamil is beautiful. It is not easy to understand it, but even today you will find that ancient Tamil writing is as clear and understandable as today's Tamil. I'll just give you one small short example because I love ancient Tamil. Here is a poem, 5 lines.
5 lines.
Yayum Nyayum Yara Hero. Yendayum Nundayum Yamurai Kelir. Yayum Niyum Ebbadi Aridum. Shambula Pale Near Bola Anbuday Nenjam Dam Kalandanavi. This is again Savitri idea. What did we read about Savitri Satyavan's marriage we read right now? This is what he says. It's a newly married husband speaking to his wife. Yayum Nyayum Yara Hero. Yai, that is my mother. I is mother. Yai is my mother. Yayum Nyayum, your mother. Yara, who are they? Yendayum Nundayum, Yendai, Ennudaya Tandai, my father. Nundai, your father. What relations were they? How were they related? Kelir is a relationship. Yayum Nyayum Ebbadi Aridum. What way have I come? And what way have you taken? Satyavan has come from Dhimatsena's land. Savitri has come from Ashopati's land. They have met here. Yayum Nyayum Ebbadi Aridum. We have come from different. And still, look at this. Shambula Pale Neer Pola. Like rains fallen on red earth. When rains fall on red earth, what happens? It becomes reddish, one. Where is the earth there? Where is the water there? They have become one. Anbudai Nenjamdam Kalandanave. Our loving hearts have become one, like that. A field full of red mud. It has become one. Anbu is a word for love used in ancient Tamil and even today.
I noticed so many words ending in vowels in what you just recited. And that is the most singable music.
I see.
Because it doesn't end in harsh consonants.
It should not. That's why we call Telugu as the Italian of the East. In Telugu, it is the same point. You'll find usually Tamil words end with a harsh n or r. In Telugu, it is ukara. Chudumu, rammu, ukara. That's why for music, we prefer Telugu letters. And it is also known as Italian of the East because it is so sweet sounding.
In your writing and your work,
That was the translation part.
yes, translation part, but in your further novel, not literary works, how have you felt the influence of Sri Aurobindo and Mother?
In literary works, in criticism, it is the Aurobindonian mold that I have followed. That is very, very clear. That is, whether it is literature or politics, in my journalism also, the Aurobindonian way, what he writes in Bhadde Matrama Karma Yogin, that inspires me when I write about politics. And so also with other things. But I have consciously avoided writing about my experiences with, experiences with the Aurobindonian world or the mother's inspirations in explicit terms in my fiction. My fiction is generally historical or mythological.
Oh,
I use, because I became a student of Manimekhalai, it is a Buddhist epic. I became a translator of Manimekhalai. I read plenty of Buddhist literature, and it surprised me no end. And some of my writings, short stories, are based on Buddhistic legends. And because of my closeness for some time with the Institute of Higher Tibetan Studies in Sarnath, this interest grew. So I have written about Buddhism, and of course it has been also, can say, critical of our some of our stupid, what I call stupid habits of modern day Indians. Their marriage, this one, the way they are not prepared to have some give and take, husband and wife. That sort of thing goes on in my writings. But I don't think I have used Sri Aurobindo or the Mother in any of my writings like that. They are only in my critical apparatus they come. But when I write about those works, I write my reviews on Sri Aurobindo is constantly with me. Because the thing is, as I told one interviewer, he wanted to know what is my, what do you call it? When I write something, what is my feeling, what I should write about? I simply said, I want to write in such a way that neither my mother nor father should read it and then say, oh God, did our daughter write it? Yo, yanga panna appadi. They should not. So I have openly rejected erotism for its sake, and because here you have, this is Dharmakama. We have Satyavana and Savitri in love. That is known as Dharmakama in traditional Hinduism. That is allowed, proper, controlled, disciplined. That is a different thing. Not what is going on now in our campuses. What is that thing? Kiss of love or something. I wrote about recently about that. And I have given as example Margaret Atwood. Margaret Atwood, she is a feminist and all that. But she writes, she has written recently her collection of short stories, Stone Mattress. In that she writes a story in which she shows clearly whoever is at fault, boy or girl, it is the girl who suffers, not the boy. Yes. Stone Mattress is about that. So it has been my lifelong, and I have been a writer for more than nearly 6 decades. And throughout, any book that comes to me for review, which openly plays with this kind of, did not Dostoevsky write about relationships? Sure. All our great writers have written about that. But they have not done like some of our today's Indian writers, that's, once I wrote in my review to Deccan Herald, so this lady has perfected the percentage of each ingredient for her novel. So much percentage of sex, so much percentage of philosophy, so much percentage of Indian traditions, to make fun of Indian traditions. But then somebody asked me in a recent, we had a get together in Holy Cross, where there was a panel discussion. One lady got up and asked, but then why do they write like that? It's not good. We students don't want it. Why do they like? And I just did not know how to answer. I said it sells. That is why they write. It's so simple as that. So I have not consciously done anything, but consciously criticized this kind of anything which sounds like an aberration to me, I have criticized. For that I have received, she thinks she's a purist. And then actually when Freedom First published an article saying Savitri Satyavan, Savitri diddled Yama, where is the question of Savitri diddling Yama? That person has not read the original Mahabharata story. Savitri does not. She tells, and some people are also ignorant enough to say Savitri wanted Satyavan's immortality. She wanted an impossible thing. Does she ask for his immortality? Never. You read Sri Aurobindo, he is very careful. And in the original Mahabharata, Yama actually blesses Savitri. He says, Tatheti, let it be as you wish, and go and live with him happily for 400 years. Why 400? Maybe it is 40 years. They have said, whatever it is, he has put a limitation. And Savitri doesn't demur about that. I asked you for immortality, you are giving only 400 years. No. Savitri is wise enough. The evolution has to be gradual, not suddenly some person, like the picture of Dorian Gray.
Yes.
That is very famous, isn't it?
Yes.
It's a horrible story.
Yeah. Oh,
I don't want to be young like that. Yeah. So, this lady had not read her Savitri legend properly. And that is why she said Savitri had no business to diddle Yama. And I told also in that counter to that lady, which I wrote, anyone can diddle Rama. I mean, anyone can diddle anyone, but nobody can get away from Yama. Nobody can diddle Yama. Even politicians cannot, I added. And they published the article.
Prema, we don't have a lot of time left, and one question that I would like to ask you for those people who are seeking today, and many seeking sincerely, could you speak to them a little about Sri Aurobindo and the Mother?
Reading Sri Aurobindo, that was simply reading him, meditating upon his life or the Mother. I think, yes, we are all seekers. What do we seek for? There are two things we seek for. One is peace of mind, shanti. Another is betterment. It could be a physical betterment, evolutionary betterment. How long are we going to face this death? This phenomenon has to be changed. So everyone is a seeker. In these two ways, they are seekers. The lesson I can only tell you as far as I can see. The lesson from Sri Aurobindo and Savitri that I have learned, yes, surrender. If you want peace of mind, not go on wondering what will happen. People who come to see my library have got quite a few books because I depend upon my personal library and it has been built by my father. They constantly ask this question. It's a fine library, but what is going to happen to it? They don't add the word after you die. So the question is, I always tell them this answer. The mother who has given me 76 years of life, she knows how to look after that library. I didn't say she will give me immortality. She will know. It will go to the proper hands. So surrender to the mother gives you peace of mind. She knows what to do with our life. Because there is a moment at every step you have to surrender. It may be even my getting up in the morning at 4 o'clock. So usually I get up at 5 o'clock, but today I have to get up at 4 o'clock. I have to go to Pondicherry. When I go to sleep, oh mother, may I get up at 4 o'clock? And I get up. How does it happen? You don't call it miracle. It is just the mother's grace or automatic, the biological clock. You can say it's biological clock. Whatever it is, this surrender has helped me throughout my life, and I would advise that to the seekers. Surrender to a greater power. It is not abdicating your responsibility or abdicating your brain. I didn't abdicate anything. We don't. We work, we do. But if you go on worrying about, will this video come out correctly? Do you think I have spoken the right words? Do you think he has taken my portrait from the right angle? If I go on worrying, do you think I would have been speaking to you like this non-stop? That is, whatever I say, I have planned. I don't deny I have planned. A morning we discussed, there was a rough plan.
Yes.
There was a rough plan. Whereas the moment I entered the room, for one moment I thought, well, will I remember? I'm sure to forget me. I have forgotten many things. Well, mother will see me through. And she has seen me through so far. So that surrender always helps. As for evolution, that is a question that is asked to me again and again. There are two questions that are asked to me when I go and speak to audiences in Tamil Nadu or Andhra. One question is invariably, can we worship Rama and Krishna and Lakshmi and Parvati when we have become disciples of Sri Aurobindo? Many people ask me. One husband will come and say she does not want any portrait of the divine. Now the problem is in my house also. We have a huge traditional, this one,
Yes.
God's room.
Yes, yes.
It has been there for 300 years. I'm living in an ancient house. Now, I do not put Sri Aurobindo mother's portrait there, because the priest who comes to do the worship twice daily, he will ask unnecessary questions. Because in the beginning when I put it, that was the problem. Why should you worship him? When you worship Narayana, why should you worship Sri Aurobindo? Narayana will give everything to you. Yes, Narayana will give everything to me. Through Sri Aurobindo and the mother, I act to myself. So, there in my study, you will find that there will be no portrait. It is not as though my husband was against it or anybody was against it. I decided to be surrounded by these portraits of my parents and all that in my room. So, I tell them, sadhaks can do that. Sadhaks, I do not know, in Pondicherry, probably when you become a total sadhak in Pondicherry and elsewhere, you don't need other portraits. You need only Sri Aurobindo and the mother's portraits to lead you to for meditation and all that. But as long as you are not a total sadhak, as long as you are not surrendered wholly to them, as long as you keep your fixed deposit in your name, your savings bank in your name, you have not surrendered everything. So why should you surrender Rama and Krishna when Sri Aurobindo has written so beautifully about them? Sri Aurobindo writes so beautifully about Krishna. And mother has this vision of golden Ganesha. This total misinterpretation is a big thing for many of the seekers I have seen. So this is one question. Second question is, when will supermind come? When will be transformed? I have this disease. When will this transformation come so that I will be rid of this disease? That even Sri Aurobindo did not know. Nirodha asked him the question. And he says, I am ropening, I'm trying to drag Supermind down. Sri Aurobindo's humor was so famous. I'm trying to drag it down. So, we have come this far. My faith is we will go further still. Unless I have that faith, I will not be a human being. Unless I have a faith in the mother that when I go to sleep, I will wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning and will not just be a corpse devoid of life. Because there have been examples, people have died in their sleep.
Yeah.
And I am not young. But I have the faith, enough faith to think, I must get up in the morning at 4 o'clock, do this, do that. I must remember to put the milk this way, that way, give instructions to my husband, and take this book, that book. Narad is going to interview me in Pondicherry. So all these plans I make with what? With that faith. So you will think me funny that I am dealing with very, very mundane things when dealing with such a wonderful subject like Supermind. But I keep telling people, I am a housewife, I am a full-fledged housewife. All the time I am dealing with these problems. Whether I have put enough curds in the milk for it to become curds. No, is that bringing down the Supermind? No. So all of us, we follow our given pathways, but this firm faith that yes, one beautiful day will come when you can say people will not forget things, people will look eternally beautiful and all that. That also I am not sure. The form will not be this. How do I want to be permanent? Not at this age, not with all my hair grown so thin, not with so many ailments and with one eye gone, no. Then do I want to be a 20-year-old as I was when I got married, permanently, eternally? No, then I would have missed all this knowledge. So when do I want to be immortal? So immortality is not the question at all. These seekers of the Aurobindonian fold are seeking the transformation. Transformation, when it will come, that is for Prakriti to decide. She knows when to decide. The mother knows when to give the medicine to the child. The mother knows when to dress up the child. Both the mother knows. She won't dress up the child in the best frock when the child is going to sleep, lest it soil the frock. She won't do it. So she will take her time. Mother Prakriti takes the time, and that transformation will come. That much faith we must have in the elders. We must have in the sayings of our Padasya Vishwabhutani, Tripadasya Amritam Devi, says the Veda. That faith we must have in the Veda. We have seen only a quarter of what is to manifest. 3/4 are still to manifest. Vedas have said it, isn't it? So if we are still only quarter has manifested, there is a long way to go. But it will be a wonderful future, I am sure. Because a man at this age with mind, probably with a bit of intuitive mind and of course a bit of our mind, could create such beautiful things in India, Ajanta, so many good paintings. Yes. If a man could write Savitri, then how much more he may not do in future. Let us leave it to the future. But in the meantime, let us have that faith. That is what I am saying. To the seekers, and this is a very, very firm thing to hold on to. You need something to hold on to. I have something to hold on to. I am not worried. I have Savitri to hold on to. Do you think I answered the question?
Yes. And I thank you.
Because there are no answers for such questions. Surrender, Sharanagati.
Yes.
Nothing else. That's what my Sri Vaishnavism teaches me. Sharanagati. Aham tvam sarvapapebhyo mokshayishyami. Ma shuchaha. Don't worry, says Krishna in the Gita. Don't be sorrowful. Why be sorrowful? What will happen? What will happen? Let us think of beautiful things will happen, and then beautiful things will happen. Yad bhavam tad bhavati. What you think, that happens. Thoughts are things.
Yes.
And if you think a wonderful new world is going to blossom, as we find in Savitri, in that house of new creation,
Yes.
it will happen. If you have the will, it will happen. Thank you very much for this beautiful evening.